As we all know, Team Haney, Devin Haney, Bill Haney, love hitting us with that corny ass quote. They say everything but let's fight. Well, Shakur said let's fight, and we didn't hear nothing back from him. Well, Shakur just said it again. He wants Devin Haney. Shakur just did an interview, and he said in his next fight, he either wants Gervonta Tank Davis or Devin Haney.
On Shakur's hit list, who do you want right after Shakur? If it was up to you and Bob Arum, you guys could hand pick whoever you want. Who are you picking?
Devin Haney, Tank Davis.
Devin first, Tank second?
Nah, it's either or. Whichever one of them. I would like to fight Devin just because of the belts.
Right.
But Tank, just because of the star power, I think that'd be the biggest fight in the world. So
Shakur said he wants Devin because Devin got the belts. Devin and Bill talking about nobody else is winning the belt at lightweight this year. So we going to see. But I don't think we going to see that. But I do think we going to see that other fight he was talking about with Gervonta Tank Davis. And Shakur got asked about what he thinks that fight would look like if him and Tank were to fight. And this is what he had to say.
Division are you and Ryan. But so you think Tank, a lot of people think he's the toughest division. How does the fight between you and Tank look?
I mean, probably look like Floyd versus Canelo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And who's Floyd? Who's Canelo?
I mean, it's clear and obvious who's Floyd and who's Canelo. I mean, the hit and don't get hit guy is me. And, the guy that loads up and try to knock people out is Tank. So
Now, damn, I was surprised to hear that. Because obviously that means Shakur thinks Tank is easy work. Now, I'm just a fan. I'm not a boxer. And I'm damn sure not no Shakur Stevenson. He got one of the highest IQs in the sport. But I just don't see that fight going how he sees it. First of all, because Canelo was bigger than Floyd. In this fight, Shakur, any of these fights, if we being honest, all these guys are way bigger than Tank. So that's one difference right there. Another difference is Canelo is a great fighter, but Tank has better boxing skills than Canelo. He's a better boxer than Canelo. In that last part where Shakur said Tank loads up and then you see he looks off and starts to laugh.
The hit and don't get hit guy is me. And, the guy that loads up and
you can see from when he caught himself saying that's the conversations that he been having with other boxers, probably Keyshawn Davis, whoever else, Terrence Crawford, whoever else over there in his camp. But obviously they think Tank is just a fighter that loads up on his punches and tries to get knockouts, which I'm disappointed to hear from Shakur because I hold his boxing IQ to a higher level than that. If you watch Gervonta Tank Davis fight, that is not how he fights at all. He takes his time. He breaks the body down. He goes to the body early and often. He doesn't get credit for how good of a body puncher he is. That's how he gets most of his knockouts. He breaks people down to the body, and then he finishes the fight. He has that killer instinct, which Shakur, my second favorite fighter, but we haven't seen it from him too many times. He got it too, but we only seen him let it out a couple of times. The best one was Jamel Herring. Shakur looked amazing that fight. He looked unbeatable that fight. But then, when he had that opportunity to do that with fighters like Oscar Valdez and Robson Casasio, he didn't do it. He fought like Devin Haney. Well, not that bad, but, he ain't step on the gas like he could have. I gotta be real. This is just my opinion. I think these fighters are getting jealous of the way Gervonta Davis can finish these fights, and they can't. I just think they're getting jealous of it. When they start getting asked about if they're going to finish fights, they start talking about, well, it's all about skill. Knockouts really don't matter. It's all about skill. We heard Shakur say it. We heard other fighters say it. We heard Richardson Hitchens say it. In his interview, I think, with Cigar Talk. I think I seen him say that. Y'all go watch that. But this is a thing that you're starting to see fighters say when they get asked about finishing fights. They try to downplay it now. When if you look back at history, all the great fighters had the ability to finish fights. No, you didn't need to have that one-punch knockout power that Tank got in both hands. But what they did have, even if they didn't have that, they had that killer instinct. That shit where I'm so much better than you, I'm gonna whoop your motherfucking ass till the referee stops it, the doctor stops it, or your corner throws the towel in. Like, look at Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't a big puncher, he was a boxer. But in his wins, his knockout percentage was 69, damn near 70%. 70% of his wins were knockouts. Like, even if you look at Floyd, everybody likes to say, oh, look at Floyd, he didn't have a lot of knockouts. Wrong. Before Floyd started injuring his hands, let's take his first 28 fights. Tank got 28 fights. In Floyd's first 28 fights, he had 20 knockouts in those 28 fights before he started hurting his hands. Like, the best guys always had the ability to close the show. That's always been a part of the game. That I'm so much better than you, I'm going to get you out of this fucking ring. You don't deserve to be in this ring with me. We're not on the same level. But they're trying to change that now. The only great fighter, I wouldn't say the only, but the only one I can think of, because there's been other fighters that didn't have big knockout percentages, but were great fighters. But the only one I can think of right now is Sweet Pea, Pernell Whitaker. He was a great fighter, and he ain't really had too much power or get too many knockouts. But I just don't like how people are starting to act like this never been a part of the game. Being able to finish your opponents never factor into how you won. Like, as long as you win, you win. And it doesn't matter how you win. Nah, it always matter how you won. You want to look as impressive as you can. And you do that by finishing your opponent, especially if they high-level opponents, like Floyd did with Diego Corrales. But as far as the fight between Shakur and Tank, I believe that's the best fight to be made in that 135-pound division. Those are the two best guys in my opinion. And that's a real hard fight for me to pick. I don't know who to pick in that fight because it could look one way. It could look another way. Shakur is bigger and he's a boxer, has better boxing skills than Tank, and good defense, great defense, I should say. So that fight could be, I wouldn't say like Floyd and Canelo, but it could be a fight where Tank is never able to close the distance and Shakur is just jabbing him, moving around, picking them apart. A good fight to watch, if you want an example of that, would be this fight right here. This Adabek Kamatov guy versus Gregorian. The Adabek guy is tall, 5'9". The other guy was 5'4". Adabek is kind of like Shakur. He got that elite amateur background and very elite boxing skills. And you can see what he did with this smaller fighter in this fight. Just picked him apart using his range, his distance, his jab. Was landing all types of shots and just picked him apart. So that's a good fight to watch to see one way it could possibly go. It's funny, too, because Adabek was just in Canford with Tank, helping him get ready for the Hector Garcia fight. Adabek is a 126-pounder, 10-0, 9 knockouts. Don't be surprised if you see him win a title at 126 later this year. He's a very elite fighter. And I think he's fighting next week, too. But another example of how the fight could go is Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant, bigger, boxer, long, moving around, but eventually Canelo caught up to him. And that could happen in the fight with Tank and Shakur. He can do all that boxing, all that moving. Eventually, Tank is going to catch up to you. So I see that's the two scenarios, the two most likely scenarios of how the fight plays out, in my opinion. Hopefully we get to see this fight soon. It's the biggest fight to be made in that 135-pound division. Not Devin Haney. He's not on Tank's level or Shakur's level. Tank and Shakur are the cream of the crop. They the two best in that division. And I can't wait to see that fight. But that's what I got for y'all. I'm out.